So, did you ever think you'd be talking about privately swapping BRC-20 tokens? Think about it, guys. I know it might not sound like a huge deal, but let's just talk about it a little bit. So, check me out, of course, on X right here. But let's get into why I'm talking about this. So, of course, Oasis Network, as we know, super amazing protocol. We've been talking about this for a long time. As you guys know, some of you do know, check out the playlists, go through the Oasis Network stuff. We've been into it, and the reason is because privacy, or let's look at it in a different way. Let's use the word confidentiality, right? Sometimes you use the word privacy, it gives people a negative impression, but in fact, we all have confidential information, right? So we're getting into ZK rollups, ZK EVMs, and just the whole idea of zero knowledge information proofs. So we like the idea that Oasis Network, of course, we mentioned this as well, but Oasis Network has these Oasis privacy layer, Oasis privacy layer, which is a way of essentially making your apps, your decentralized apps, just private, without having to actually use the Oasis Network, without having to be, pardon me, the Oasis Network Sapphire layer, right? Or the Sapphire paradigm. And so this is a very interesting piece of information right now. So we have, of course, cross-chain convenience. There's a lot going on. We're not going to dive so deep into it because the idea is pretty simple, right? As a user, you're going to interact with your base chain or your home network, whether it be, who knows, maybe it's Base, perhaps it's Mantle, perhaps it's Polygon or BNB chain, something of that nature. Ethereum, of course, right? You're going to sign your message. You're going to pay your gas fee. And this information can go between your home chain as well as Sapphire, which is the Oasis paradigm that deals with privacy, okay, and confidentiality. So the Oasis privacy layer essentially is just kind of encompasses or wraps this whole experience up, so you can do your cross-chain interactions pretty seamlessly, pretty quickly on various EVM levels, Ethereum virtual machine levels, but you can also do it with a layer of privacy and confidentiality. So let's give a quick example. So for example, let's just say you have a piece of identification and you just need to know a portion of that information. You need to share a portion of that information. Perhaps it's the fact that you are of age, or perhaps it's your address. You don't need to give them all of the information. So we're getting to a different age right now where privacy and security is super important. It always was, but it's increasing as we get into a digital age even further, as we know, right? So let's get into what's going on. So let's talk about Celer. So Celer Network, actually looking at Celer Network, we can see that it scores relatively well fundamentally, okay? There's a lot going on with the fundamentals of things we want to look at, but what we really want to look at truthfully is the technology. And I like the fact that Celer has been improving over time. Right. I like the fact that Celer Network, it's staying strong and it's got new narratives. OK, and let's talk about why we're talking about the idea of swapping your BRC-20s privately and how this connects with Oasis Network. Right. So Celer is now going to be, supporting BRC-20 bridging between BTC and EVM. So those Ethereum virtual machine blockchains we've been talking about, especially, maybe particularly recently, and of course over time, it's hard not to talk about an EVM chain, right? But essentially bringing BRC-20s cross-chain. I think this is very interesting. As you see, they're collaborating with Brevis in some time as the evolution of this protocol goes through, and the developments of their privacy and their cross-chain messaging, right? So maybe that's one to look at as well. But I think it's really cool because there's just more connections with Celer and Oasis. So Celer is pretty much into privacy, right? So Celer focuses on interoperability. That's one major thing. Let's head back over here and we could take a look at some of the numbers and the metrics of Celer as we look at a few things here. So Celer is essentially, like I said, interoperability, right? And the protocol enables a variety of solutions that include just like DeFi tokens, NFTs, of course, privacy, and of course, much more. But they have this interchain messaging, Celer interchain messaging, or CIM, which allows for multi-chain. It's essentially a way to create more of a multi-chain ecosystem, right? And so the Celer interchain messaging brings to mind to myself something like CCIP, right, from Chainlink. So, and of course, this is essentially just a new way to connect blockchains. As you can see right here, this little diagram, this, it looks really, it's exactly what Chainlink can offer. And when we're talking about sending messages, interchain messages, as well as a layer of privacy through something like Oasis Network and or Celer, I think there's something really big here with interoperability between something like Chainlink as well as Celer, as the necessity or the demand for more technology increases. So I want to show you guys something else as well as we kind of go into more of this privacy layer. So BRC-20 is being swapped through Celer's bridge, this cBridge. I think, again, we talked about the liquidity flowing into Bitcoin, right? From Bitcoin into various layers. We can clearly see that there's something very powerful about fair mint and fair launch. And that's, guys, why 100% we've been talking about fair launch. And we understand the value of this because you let the community create the value. You let us tell you how much we value your efforts. That is sometimes so much better than you setting a price, because you kind of limit us to where this can go, but it can definitely go down, right? But let's continue. So looking a little bit deeper, right, into Oasis Network and privacy, as we know, a lot of you may be familiar with illumineX, right? I definitely share this and maybe even share the song that I made with, with regards to this project here, right? So it's a very interesting DEX. It's a privacy DEX. So what I anticipate is the idea of Oasis privacy layer with the OPL, but to be honest, it's not even necessary because this is directly on Oasis Network. But I can anticipate seeing the BRC-20 bridge, the cBridge for Celer, right, allowing for BRC-20 transfers through EVM, and then of course swaps on privately swapping or privately wrapping your BRC-20s, guys. I think it's quite possible, right? As we look at illumineX just a little bit, yeah, I don't know. We can kind of see that this protocol is doing quite well. From when it launched to today, it's on a pretty healthy uptrend, and that's because this is the first privacy-enabled DEX of all. It is the first EVM, I'll say at least like that, privacy-enabled DEX. And I love the fact that right now, if you're actually onboarding into illumineX, you can actually go through a whole tutorial on how to join. The testnet was very interesting. The testnet was simple. There was pretty good guidance on testnet, so I'm not surprised to see good guidance through the mainnet onboarding and the actual real onboarding, right? So I would definitely keep my eyes on illumineX because it is that Oasis Sapphire layer DEX that is enabling swaps. Okay, so this is like wrapping stuff. So simply you drop in your asset. Let's just say you're dropping in your native rows on the Oasis Sapphire layer. Let's just say, for example, right, guys. And now let's just say you want to swap out for some. In this case, let's find something that's out there. Let's say BNB pegged BSC BNB. Okay, you can privately wrap. As long as you're going from the native chain to a different chain, you are actually wrapping. So it is privately wrapping, guys. It's just different technology, different demands, right? More user functionality for people who want to do things in their own ways. It's not so much about privacy as in hiding something. It is it's not, and transparency is great. We love it, of course, right? But sometimes you do need a level of confidentiality. I think it's super important. So now, how this ties back into Bitcoin, of course. Something like Botanix, you might see, and Spiderchain, you might actually see working with something like illumineX, right? Just upon some research I did, I anticipate Bitcoin liquidity flowing through illumineX and flowing through the EVMs again, even more, much like the video that we dropped earlier that just discusses countless layers of Bitcoin that are being added, countless infrastructure plays that are being built out to develop the ecosystem for ordinals and more, of course, right? But Botanix and Spiderchain and illumineX, I have a feeling there's going to be a pretty good connection coming at some point in time. And what that's going to do is, in my opinion, is going to help with the flow of things like BRC-20s and as well, of course, just Bitcoin on a whole, right? So when we look at BRC-20s, today we're going to talk about something like meme, for example, right? Because back here, just a couple of days ago, we discussed a really good meme secret that can help you to understand where the market's going and the Bitcoin cycles, right? So do check that video out as well. I might link those two or a couple of these at the end of the video just for you guys, right? So you want to check that video because it talks about memes in a different way, right? But the true first meme on Bitcoin, if I have to say it in terms of a token like this, well, let's just say meme is the one essentially, right? And you could trade meme. Like right now, one meme initially was the mint. And right now, meme is sitting at about $45. So the truth is, I don't want to say it like this. It's only at a 9 or 10x from where it was minting at. Let's just say it costed roughly $5 to $10 to mint something, to mint one of the tokens when it was live, right? During the fair mint again. So, and we're only looking at a $4 million market cap. So in terms of memes that have the most upside potential, I've got to say, aside from the ones that I mentioned in the best meme secret, I've got to say that meme ordinals and the meme BRC-20 token probably has the most true upside if we're looking at Bitcoin liquidity, which is what it's always about when it comes to blockchains and the flow of capital through these markets. Right, so I'm looking forward to a connection between Botanix and illumineX because I feel like that's going to bring in a little more liquidity, perhaps from BRC-20s and just Bitcoin in general, okay? I'm definitely going to keep my eyes on Brevis to see what's happening there. And of course, Chainlink interoperability is just growing and growing and growing. So CCIP is just going to make Chainlink one of the most dominant blockchains of all, and the most lightweight, the most user-friendly, possibly, maybe not the most beautiful experience, I'm not entirely sure, or the most stylish, but what Chainlink is bringing to the industry is incredible. And I think Celer, with their multiple bridges, okay, Celer with the interchain messaging, as well as the cBridge and the connectivity with Oasis privacy layer, I think we're in for a big treat. I don't know. I really genuinely think we're in for an incredible treat. So, of course, again, hit me over on X. Let's chat over there. Do check out these videos, like I said, talking about the best meme secret, talking about building Bitcoin layers, infrastructure for a better tomorrow, more usability, more functionality, and just a better experience for everyone. I foresee it. All the best, everyone. Take it easy.